as well, but if you and a family member are starting to get upset with each other, your voices are starting to rise, the tension is starting to rise, the friction's getting a little hotter, call it timeout. Call it timeout. Now, you got to do it the right way, though. You got to do it the right way. What happens in so many homes is one person, often the male, but not always, will just get exasperated and just say, timeout, and storm off. That is a horrible thing to do. It's a horrible thing to do. Okay. Because the other person is going, well, are you ever going to come back? Are we ever going to talk about this? While the person may be rejecting the argument, the person left behind is, well, are they rejecting me? Are they rejecting the relationship? So here's what your listeners need to know. Whoever calls the time out must schedule the time in. This is timeout, not cop out. Jackie, if you and I have a close relationship and you want to talk to me about something, I have the right to say, I will not talk to you about it right now. I do not have the right to say, I will never talk about it. Again, if we're in a close relationship, if it's an important issue to you, it better be an important issue to me as well.
Well, so I agree with that. Yeah. In a close relationship. Doesn't mean you have to do that with everybody, if somebody I don't know at all wants to have a conversation, I don't have to have it. Yeah, but with my husband, if it's important enough to him, I better respond if he says he wants to talk about
you can say, I can't talk to you right now, but I'll tell you what, give me an hour, let's get together then, or let's at 5 o'clock or after dinner, or after the kids are in bed, whatever. Let's schedule a time where we're going to talk, where we're both calm. We're in our thinking brains, not our emotional brains, and we can have an effective conversation. You may need to learn the speaker-listener technique or proactive listening. We don't have time to get into that right now, but again, whoever calls the timeout must let the other person know it's timeout, not cop-out. We will talk about it, just not right now. Now, Jackie, there's two things that you can say to another adult when you call a timeout. You can say, I need a timeout, or we need a timeout. What should you never say to another adult?
You need a timeout, Ron.
You'll find out how much they do, I promise you. So put it on yourself. Say, you know what? I'm not in the right frame of mind right now. If we try to converse right now, it's not going to go well. I need a timeout, please. Are in their emotional brain. One researcher describes it as being flooded. Your emotions flood out your thought process. And if you keep turning the key and giving it more gas, you're not going to make it better. You're just not going to make it better. Call the timeout. You'll be glad you did. I got one more when you're ready for it.
Go ahead.
This one I learned from Tom and Bev Rogers. They're counselors back in Charlotte, North Carolina. I used to go to a marriage conference every year for 8 or 9 years, and they were always presenters. I was just a sponge. I was just soaking in so much knowledge, so much good information. They tell a story. Well, let me back up. They teach a concept that anger is a secondary emotion. You are never angry just because you're angry. There's an underlying reason why you're angry. And so if you can identify what that underlying reason is, probably going to be able to do something about your anger. So what they teach is when you're angry, grab your thumb's kind of an anchor, look at your fingers and think, why am I angry? What should I do about this?
Okay.
Again, the thumb is an anchor. But by looking at your fingers and thinking, asking yourself, all right, what's going on? What do I want to do? Jackie, you're forcing yourself out of your emotional brain back into your thinking brain, from which by definition, you're going to make a more logical, rational, sane, and appropriate decision. So let me illustrate this for you and your listeners. I love this story. It's one of the favorites of all time for me. Tom and Bev Rogers tell about a couple they were coaching, counseling, He was 6 foot plenty, she was 5 foot barely, and he had a problem with anger. And he would come home from work and just get all upset. Why isn't dinner ready? Why isn't the house picked up? Why are the kids a mess? On and on. It didn't matter. He let his anger come out his mouth. Well, finally, she had enough of that. She said, we're going to counseling. And he said, okay. So at counseling, the Rogers taught him what I just shared with you, that anger is a secondary emotion. You're never angry just because you're angry. Grab your thumb, look at your fingers, and think, why am I angry? He said, okay, I'll try it. And Jackie, it worked. It worked. For the next several months, whenever he was upset, he'd grab his thumb, look at his fingers, think, and make the right decision. Well, several months go by. He comes home one day, and his 15-year-old daughter greets him at the door and says, Dad, can we go for a drive? He had a shiny sports car. She had a learner's permit. Said, all right, sweetheart, here are the keys to the car. Go start it, but don't move it. I'll be right out. Jackie, be honest with me. You give the keys to a car to a 15-year-old girl, you tell her to start it, but not move it. What is she liable going to do?
She just might move it.
She just might, and in this case, she did. Right into and over the brick mailbox.
Oh.
Dad heard the commotion, came running outside, instantly sized up the situation, instantly started to feel anger. The daughter jumps out of the car and yells, Dad, quick, grab your thumb. Stay with me on this. Stay with me on this. I love this, Jackie, and I want your listeners to apply this, please. He grabbed his thumb. He grabbed his thumb. He calmly walked over to his daughter, and he said, sweetheart, there are going to be some consequences for what just happened here. You willfully disobeyed me. You're going to pay to fix the car. You're going to pay to fix the mailbox, and your mom and I are going to talk about when you'll be driving again. He said, but I want you to know this. You are my daughter. You are far more valuable, precious, and special to me than any car or mailbox. I love you. Come here. And he gave her a father's reassuring hug.
Yeah.
Jackie, I love that story. Do you think that daughter had a clue that maybe she had messed up? Do you think she needed a lecture at that point about why you shouldn't drive Daddy's car into and over a brick mailbox?
I think the mailbox was a pretty good clue.
I think it was a pretty good clue. At that moment, as vulnerable, as scared, as upset as she was, she needed her father's reassuring hug that while she had messed up, she was not a mess up. He still loved her, and it was going to be okay. And by grabbing his thumb, he was able to respond rather than react with the tongue lashing. Don't you love that story?
I do love it. I do love it.
Did me, and let's talk about it now.
Okay.
Every family needs a timeout signal that everybody knows what it means. It means timeout for a set period of time, an established period of time. I did a wedding for a couple, and I did their premarital preparation, not premarital counseling. To get married, you need premarital preparation. So I guided them through several sessions, and I taught them the timeout concept. I said, now, before we come back next week, I want to know what your timeout signal is. So they came in next week, and my first question was, what is your timeout signal? They said, red. I said, red? Yeah, redirect emotional distress. I said, I love it. I said, how about if I tweak that just a little bit for myself? How about code red? Danger. Danger. Code red 30. Timeout for 30 minutes. Code red 2 o'clock. Code red 5 o'clock. So it's a built-in timeout signal that establishes when the time in will occur. I had another couple, you'll like this one, very similar to yours. Their timeout signal was pineapples. I said, pineapples? They said, yeah, it makes us laugh. Great.
We are.
I read a blog post every week or so. I'm fairly faithful with that. I wrote one a few weeks ago on be disruptive. Be disruptive, and it fits very well with what we're talking about. I started it off by saying, as a child, I got into a lot of trouble by being disruptive. But now as an adult, I'm recommending that you be disruptive. And what I'm teaching here, let's say that you're having a dispute with your teenager. They're upset about something, you're upset, it's not going well. At any point, as quick as you think of it, just say, oh, time out, hold on. I all of a sudden have a hankering for an ice cream cone. How about if we drive down and get us an ice cream cone and we talk about this on the way? You're disrupting the cycle. So it's similar to a timeout, but different. You're still going to talk about it right then, but under a different scenario. So you're changing the dynamics of it. You and your spouse are into a however you did that. Or just say, you know what, hold on. I think I need some fresh air. How about if we go for a walk and we talk about this on the way? You're disrupting the cycle. Hopefully you get outside and then you can say, all right, now listen, we need to understand each other. You go first. Talk to me respectfully, please. Talk to me in a way that I can understand you. But that's all I want to do right now. I want to understand your point of view. And then hopefully after I've done that, you'll be willing to listen to me and I can share my point of view. That's the speaker listener technique that I was alluding to. I wrote about that some point back too. I think it's on my website. But
well, and you can find Ron's website, ronprice.com, right?
That's one way.
And that's one way. And what's the other way?
PlayNiceInYourSandbox.com. And when I wrote my books, I got that website. Ron at PlayNiceInYourSandbox.com is my email, or just PlayNiceInYourSandbox.com will get you to the website. And down at the bottom are the blog posts that I've put there.
Yep.